All right, what's up, guys? How are you doing? Yes, nothing. No audio is playing. I'll have to get that fixed where I get at least some kind of one of my normal tunes that I have in my videos. I'll get one of those. Get one of those fixed up. But hey, how are you guys doing? It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I guess last month. I'm gonna try and do these on a monthly basis, but I don't know. We'll see. Let me think about how I want to do this. So there's at least 3 big things I want to cover tonight, which is talking through Boba Fett, getting an update on that. I know some of you guys are looking forward to that. Those videos never do too well, so not everyone is, but those edits are pretty much done. The third episode or in the trilogy is what's missing, but number 1 should be wrapped up and out pretty soon. But one of the things I wanted to do, and I want to kind of get y'all's 2 cents on this. Your video looks funny. Fuzzy. Maybe I'm just not in the focus. What if I... Is this good? This is so silly. Alright, here, let me do this, because if this is talking about over here, this looks fuzzy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me switch to this angle, and you guys can actually see what's happening over here. And then, but I wanted to pitch this quick idea, see what you guys thought of doing something like for every Boba Fett having a brand new like title sequence that is kind of shows a little bit of the progression. I just whipped up these titles, got the font and everything, and through a backlighting, and then I came up with like this dust effect where it starts off super dust and then clears up, and then we get the title sequence. And this one would be for like episode 3, but we would go from episode 2, which would be a little more like lime green versus instead of the like blue green, and the markings on the text would be a little rougher. And then in episode 1, which I'll have to switch it right here, it would be mainly yellow, and then the logo would be like super dirtied up. So each episode, his title would get progressively cleaner to kind of show his stability. But yeah, not too much to show with Boba, mainly because it's done. So figure out how, if I would join the Discord to figure out how that's going to be distributed and whatnot. But let's see what else. I pushed the episode 9 a lot this past month. Oh, and I pushed clone stuff. But for a lot of the clone stuff, that's going to be, I'm putting out a video tomorrow. That'll be a really fun update for clone cameos. I think you guys will like it. But more of those will be coming in the future too. But one of the things I pushed was the opening to episode 9. One of the things I think is just really problematic with this movie is how fast paced it is, and just figuring out how to slow it down with adding scenes that kind of add to the plot but don't feel forced is very, very tricky. And I feel like everything I'm adding feels a little bit forced, but I think this is one of the more natural ones that I've been able to come up with, which is we start off on the, like, whenever the original cut whenever the original cut started, it went down to Mustafar. But now in this version, we're going to start on the battle at Cinta Glacier, and then we're going to move to Mustafar. And we'll start on this wide, just like in the original, but then go to something like this shot right here, to just kind of get a moment where Kylo is like meditating, and we would get this like First Order officer kind of talking about all the different failures of the First Order, where they've been losing ground and that they need to make a change, or not even that they need to make a change. It's just a report on, we've lost this base, the Coruscant is starting to have upheavals, there's this base that went down, we couldn't get supplies to this battle line or whatever. But the idea is to show the audience that Kylo Ren and the First Order under Kylo Ren's leadership isn't doing too well, so that we kind of get some incentive for Kylo. We get some character growth for him on why he would want the First Order or the Final Order fleet, because you guys tell me if I'm the only one, but I've always felt like Kylo didn't really need the Final Order fleet. The only reason he wanted it is so that someone else didn't have it. But he was already winning. He didn't really need it. He could have negotiated a little more. I know that's a silly way of thinking about it, but Crag asks, you could reference the Battle of Batuu, Galaxy's Edge, in this moment. Oh, that's a good idea. Call out, like, that Batuu, has formed a bigger, like, the resistance cell on Batuu has become overwhelming. Something like that could go really well. I've been trying to find little references for this. I think I'll make a full video on this scene whenever it's in a really good space, even if it's in the preview realm still, just so we can get some opinions on it and community opinions before I make it to where we're too far gone. But then there's this shot, which is really, really cool. I'm just gonna hide this text real quick, and this is pretty final, this shot right here. Prism asks, I still don't fully know what Kylo Ren's objective is in the sequels. Does he really want to become Vader fully? Does he want to become the leader of the Sith? Does he desire to kill Palpatine? It's a good question. I don't think anyone truly knows what his motivations were. At least in episode 7, it was pretty obvious. In episode 8, I feel like it was pretty obvious. He just wanted someone to, like, he just wanted a friend. And then episode 9 gets very muddy with his motivations. So figuring out Kylo's motivations is going to be something that, yeah, we're going to have to figure out how to fully fix that, so that we can go from Ren to Ben in a very, like, successful and coherent way that matches what he truly wants. But at least with First Order losing ground, it shows incentive why he would want the fleet, and it shows that he's bad at being bad. So that's another idea there. Is I don't, he shouldn't be good at being bad. This shot though, I think I'm going to replace these 3 TIE fighters. I'll still, I mean, since this shot is this is done. This is the final look of what, like, the quality level that you can expect from these edits. Which, I guess not that shot, but this, and then something like this. I feel like live in the same world. If you really want to nitpick it, there's going to be things you can find in here, but I think this looks pretty good. Then I'm going to replace these 3 TIE fighters though, because originally I didn't have this new scene here. Originally it went from the exterior with the 3 TIEs to this 2 Vader's destroyed castle, and we were just following the 3 TIEs, and then we would cut into the battle. But now we're going to go from the 3 TIEs to the Star Destroyer to Kylo Ren's brief. Then he's going to attack the planet. So I've seen other editors do this. These next couple of shots are not my idea. I don't really know who did it first, but taking the Battlefront 2 animatic with only the stormtroopers and kind of color grading it so that it matches. I think for the most part it works. I think I would have to cut some of this. These trees just don't scream Mustafar trees. But like if you were to cut right in here, you probably are going to get a good look. This fire and bloom kind of blows everything up. And then this shot, these shots can kind of work. These just are very fat foliage trees. And then we go something like this. Prism says, my biggest flaw with the sky is it looks too clear. There needs to be more almost red blowing out. I think they also need to be darkened and more red. You're saying that for this shot or for my shot here? I guess it could be more red. I could color grade it more, but at least with like rocks and mountain ranges, which I also have to give credit to Zerkron45. He's been mentioned on the channel before, but he's really helped me out with so much, and he built all of this foreground terrain here all the way down in here. He built all this, and then he did the lava and the castle texturing. I went in and I destroyed the castle. I like made all of these broken things. I was chatting with another friend of like, do I take out one of the castle pillars and make it like not as even, or do I keep it even? Because I think canonically it's still even, but I don't know. I think this could be I think this works to share that it's like ruins, and that this shares the location pretty quickly. Prism says the sky, yes, it looks too clean. The shots of Kylo on the ground look way more lava-esque, but the clouds and the shot of this guy look too white. I think the biggest difference is it might be cloudy. I was thinking that wherever they are, they're in a battlefield, so the idea is that they would be way more in smoke, and they have the tree cover. I do think that my sky doesn't match their sky necessarily. Like that could definitely, oh, where am I think my sky could definitely, I think I was a little more reserved, doing more of an orange look, where I should go for more of a red pink look, but I could get that fixed. I was thinking about doing it now, but now I'm chatting with you guys. Do it later. But I'm still going to play around with this scene, so if you guys have any critiques and you want to leave it in the comments, or just feel free. I'm happy to take critique. And yeah, I think that sky definitely needs to be more orange. I think that's a really good note. But these 3 ships will be swapped out with drop ships. The next thing I wanted to look at is the beginning of the film and how we're kind of rearranging it. You probably saw this or maybe if you skipped it, in the starting soon portion. This is a whole new sequence that we're adding. So instead of going from the opening crawl to Mustafar, we're gonna now do an opening crawl onto the glacier that they visit in episode 9, which like a lot of people forgot about, I feel. Prism says, no update for Luke. Just curious who's doing the official voice acting. I do have a voice actor for Luke. I think I want to. I could do AI. I could do but I think this voice actor is just really, really talented. It'll be the same voice actor that I had for the Ray stuff. But yeah, if he's too busy or if he can't help out, I could also try AI, but I just think it sounds very AI-y. So, good question. I can share the idea for that before we get into this, because it goes back to Mustafar. But I want to spend a lot of time tonight on this too. Alright, let's see. Sorry. So, here's what I got so far. And this is all kind of like in my head, just trying to see if this works. So, this isn't even previs, as more of it is, hey, I'm playing with this idea, and I used some AI art and some like just basic text, but go here. So the idea is that we would go from Kylo fighting all of these guys in the forest, then we would go to this shot here where so we would see him fight, and then he would go to grab the Wayfinder. Now this shot's gonna go pretty dang slow because I don't think it's rendered, but one of the things I'm trying to do is whenever he opens it, it's going to be empty. So, let's see. I don't know if it'll play. It's not as many moving parts as you would think, but I had to like track this piece and then add this guy so that, and then cover it back up with Kylo. But that way, that one's a new replacement. The idea here is that, I bet it's just this one. Yeah, the idea here is that Kylo would open the chest to grab the Wayfinder and it just wouldn't be there. So that the Eye of Webbish Bog, which is in the comics and in the novelization and is a cutscene, this shot will have to be removed, comes up out of the ground, and he's like, if you want the Wayfinder, you have to clear my master's castle from the phantom that lurks there. Right? So then we're going to get a little sequence of Kylo's ship flying to the castle and landing. So that's what this shot would be. And then this is just some AI art I'm using as placeholder. And then Kylo and Luke would have a conversation. I've gone back and forth on how this conversation would go. My biggest request from you guys is if there's any ideas that you guys have for a scene like this, where in your dream scenario of Luke and Kylo actually being able to reunite on screen, what kind of conversation do they have? What are the things that you feel have been left unsaid by the two characters? And how can Luke persuade or plant seeds of that Ben is still inside Kylo Ren? Because that's where my mind has gone so far. So if the idea for Kylo Ren's story arc in this one is a anti-Anakin one, right? So Anakin is pretty secure of who he is at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and then he becomes more insecure until he becomes Darth Vader. Versus Kylo, I want him to be incredibly insecure about if he's being like good at being Kylo Ren, even if he's not like good at it. That if this is what he wants, if this is who he's supposed to be, and then trying to like figure out what his purpose is. What does he do now that, I mean, he doesn't have any knack for the war, but this will be the light side's 2 cents. This is Luke, his master's 2 cents on Kylo should come back. Leo says, I love your edits. They are so creative. Thank you. That's very kind. I really appreciate it. Prism says, I had an idea for the ending when Kylo's sitting. Have him hear Anakin call to him saying Ben instead of Han. Anakin's not talking to him in this scene. So this is a scene with Luke and Kylo. But the main idea is that, yeah, Kylo would walk in, and then Luke would start trying to say like, hey, you're not supposed to be Kylo Ren. And Kylo Ren would have rebuttals. Obviously the dialogue needs to be worked out a lot. Craig says, I think that Kylo should still start with the mindset of seeing himself as a monster, but it's shaken when Luke says something like, I never blamed you. That's pretty good. I think Kylo should definitely have a facade of he's in control and this is what he always wanted. Like, oh, I'm living my best life. He's not. Prism says, or Craig says, yeah, sorry guys, I really appreciate you guys following me, helping me out. I'm sorry if I'm bad at live streams and doing this kind of stuff. I'm learning. I'll figure it out. Prism says, like, so he gets up to see who's there. I still don't understand. That's in reference to your comment about Anakin, but Anakin's not in this scene. Or Yeah, I don't get that. And then Crag says, monster as a self-loathing way. I definitely think that could happen. Prism says, is there any way you could give Kylo a force vision like Rey of Dark Rey or Luke or Vader? Okay, I'm not making this up. There is an idea for a vision in this sequence. It's, does it work? And does it actually add to Kylo Ren's story? So, because we are in Vader's castle, and because we can point, and because Kylo has committed to becoming Kylo Ren at this point, he has killed Snoke, he has taken over the First Order. He's like, this is my path in life. That's gonna be the main challenge at the beginning of this film for him, and when he teams up with Palpatine, he's really doubling down on, I am Kylo Ren. This is my lot in life. And it isn't until Han and Rey together basically break that spell. More Han, obviously, but that's the thing that's going to bring him back to Ben, is he doesn't know who he wants to be, and then he's going to have Palpatine talking to him, and then he's going to have Han, and then he makes a choice. For the scene with specifically a vision, I don't exactly know. I think the dialogue could work and we could figure it out. But the main idea would be, have y'all seen this short film? It's like a Kylo Ren short film. I highly encourage you to look it up. Where it's Kylo Ren versus Darth Vader in a forest, and like very much reminiscent of the Starkiller base forest. It's at night in the snow, and Kylo Ren ends up killing Darth Vader, symbolically like becoming better than Vader, or like defeating what he couldn't. And so the idea here would be that he and Luke have an understanding that Kylo's not necessarily listening, right? Kylo is like, whatever you say, I'm never turning back to the light side. That place sucks. And then Luke would say something along the lines of, and this would be real dialogue, of like, well, then it's time for one last lesson. And then we would kick into that short film, where in this episode, it would be seeing Kylo Ren as we first saw him, right? Seeing him as what he was, and then he has to face Darth Vader. And when he kills Darth Vader in episode 9, it would call back all the way to episode 7, when he's like, I will finish what you started. That he can kind of go full circle, and the audience doesn't know if Ben can turn or not. That's the main idea for how I would get a vision in there. I don't know about adding a vision of like Dark Rey or Luke in this moment. We're already talking to Luke. Also, I want to set expectations pretty early on, just for the sake of practicality with this scene. Okay, we're talking about adding in all of these characters. Luke Skywalker is played by Mark Hamill, and I don't have access to Mark Hamill, and he won't answer my emails. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, I don't have his email, but I think the play here, if we don't have the actor, and we have to have this character talk to Kylo Ren, I think the play would be to have Luke's Force Ghost project light onto the environment. This is kind of a cruddy way of doing it, but where we don't get to see Luke, but it is always around the corner. And Kylo Ren would be swinging and slashing at Luke during the conversation, and every time he swings, Luke has disappeared, and the camera just misses him by like just a second. And if we would have just stayed there a second earlier, we could have seen him. And then Prism asks if we're keeping Luke catching the lightsaber. So there's a pretty famous concept art piece where Luke is holding Kylo Ren's lightsaber. This is from the original Duel of the Fates script. I think that imagery is super cool. It adds to the fact that we don't know what Force Ghosts can do. The sequel trilogy and the prequel, and the original trilogy for that matter, really doesn't give any kind of boundaries for Force Ghosts. So we're going to kind of just push that notion that these guys are pretty, like they kind of have an idea of what's going on outside of the timeline. And they have powers beyond our understanding, kind of reminiscent to Obi-Wan's language of "I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine," where to end this sequence and start the Force vision, we would get a shot where we would get to see Luke's face in it. I would have to like find another shot of Luke in Episode 8 that would work. There's at least 3 off the top of my head that I know would work for this, and then just do some CGI stuff within, or like getting a comp for a hand and whatnot to make the like grip of Kylo's saber. I think that could work though. Yeah, and then he would be like one last lesson. And then from there, once Kylo Ren solves or finishes the Force vision, he would see the Wayfinder floating in the center of the room, or like float towards him, and then he would grab it and hold it, and then start his journey to Exegol. But I'll make a video about this, like a work in progress video when I have all the previs done, so that we can chat through the decisions being made and making sure that the story actually makes sense. I would like to play the entire sequence. I'll probably do the voice acting, which won't be great, but it should hopefully give an idea of this scene. Albert says, I do agree that Vader's castle exterior shot may need some more red in the skies and environment. Great note. I think so too. I think it definitely could use just a little more color grade. But I think the environment, I think for the most part, it looks really, really clean. Is it this one? No, this one. Yeah, I think it looks, here, I can go full screen with it. So I like that we have different layers of atmosphere happening. I like that we have this fog, and we have a volcano in the back, and then we have some mountains over here that kind of show that Mustafar like jagged range. But yes, all of this that's kind of peachy should definitely be more red. I don't think it would even be that challenging. So like if I go in here, so you're saying my issue is I see mountains, they need to be fogged up more. I could make them more. I see what you're saying. I think, yeah, we could add more atmosphere to the back here on that layer. So basically what I'll need to do is just check more reference, and make sure that I'm hitting my atmospheres correctly. So yeah, even if I just add it. What if I change the hue? No, that was the worst idea. Could even just take this like gain. No, this is too bad. This is terrible. Okay. Whenever I get into that kind of editing mode, I get pretty like lost in it, and I don't want to waste y'all's time with seeing my profile of my head for too long. But yeah, I can definitely get this fixed up and looking a little better. I am highly debating these shots right here for this sequence. I definitely could keep this shot. This shot is kind of a no-brainer to keep because you can't really see out. It just looks like rocks, and you can do something red like this. What if I punched in on this? I don't want to lose too much data. I think that would lose too much. I'll have to think about that one too. But why don't we go to the beginning? Because I want to pitch another idea, which is honestly kind of why I'm doing live streams, is to just kind of pitch ideas too, to make sure that they're resonating with more than just me, myself, and I. Because I like all my ideas, except for the bad ideas. I don't like those. But this idea is one that if you're on the Discord, you've probably heard me talk about it, but I definitely want to add a opening scene here, and I've worked quite a bit on it already, where we would, I don't know how well it'll play. I will remove this previs watermark. The main reason I do that is, one, so I know what still needs to be pushed, but also I get asked often if like that's the final look, and that's transparent. All of this is previs. We're gonna cover it, but I'm gonna remove it so you can actually see at least a little bit of what's going on, even though you're a screen within a screen within a screen. So I will say it won't play just because it's not rendered, but we're gonna go a little back and forth. Prism asks, do you have the glacier scene fully scored? Would love to see it with the full score and sound effects. Yeah, me too. I think finishing the scene will then dictate those next couple of rounds, especially music, because if we get the scene locked, then music would be next, or sound effects, then music, and then I would also pump out the final VFX for each shot. These are all work in progress, like these block things that you probably see. I don't know if YouTube, yeah, if I zoom in you can definitely see it. These will be gone. These artifacts, gross. So pan down, we get a shot of the Falcon, and then we get the Resistance fleet coming in, and they are going to be much bigger than what we thought they were. So they are going to even have a flagship that's going to be a Starhawk. Starhawk has been a passion of mine. I love the Starhawk ever since I read the Aftermath trilogy, and they had they had this idea of like a hatchet shaped ship, and I was trying to picture it, and I was struggling, and then I saw the first depiction of a Starhawk, and I was like, that's it. That's brilliant. So I really like the Starhawks. I think this is really great. One of the things I think would be very helpful too, if y'all wanted to comment, would be what New Republic or what Resistance ships and what First Order ships do y'all want to see in this battle? Keep in mind that I think it should be, I think the Resistance gets the luxury of having a pretty diverse amount of ships, but I think the First Order would probably get only 1 or 2 variants of the TIE, just because that's kind of like what we see in the films. Like, the TIEs in the First Order rarely have like a plethora of ships. Did y'all see me spit, or is that just me? I hope that was just me. Oh well. So the fleet will come in here, and they'll be packing. One of the things I'm really happy with is this blurry guy right here is actually a New Republic X-Wing, so it's going to be the coolest X-Wing. We'll get some bunker busters. Bombers, kind of a big debate still. I think, I can't remember if I pitched it to the Discord. I think I did, on whether we should have bombers in this or not, because they are a very controversial ship to have. Because they're here, this might be the opportunity that we've all been looking for to try and make them better. But yeah, if all of y'all hate it, these videos, these edits are for y'all. So if y'all don't want them, we can remove them. Shia says Rogue One has the most TIE variety per film. I'm trying to think of all the TIE variants. It had those aerial ones, and then it also had the classic TIE, and then it had that drop TIE. Yeah, I think you're right. But even in the final battle, like, they only used the one, like, variant of TIE. I think. Yeah. No, they had the 2. Crag says, I think that you should compose the fleet shot to have ships that are more associated with the Resistance on one side and ones are more associated with New Republic on the other side to kind of transition. So the reason I would have most of these mixed is because of my ongoing propaganda campaign to say that the Resistance was always a part of the New Republic, and that at least in these edits, we should see the New Republic and the Resistance as just 2 peas in a pod. Just, the Resistance is a branch of the New Republic military. It is a covert information agency with a small fleet to resist any mobilization or any, like, buildup of a evil government, because most planets govern themselves in the New Republic era, right? Especially because in the New Republic they could only influence so much, and they wanted people to be free, so planets had their own personal governments, like a lot of what we see in the Clone Wars and what the Old Republic. I think this is the case, at least. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is definitely the case, where the idea would be that, yeah, Leia is solely tasked with making sure another empire never happens again, and while she finds the First Order and says, hey guys, there's another empire coming, we need to deal with this, I sick the Navy on them, because I'm just an information agency. I just got a small ragtag fleet. We need the big fleet. The New Republic has to debate about it, and they go back and forth too much, and they would fall apart faster. So they can't commit to attacking the First Order because they're like, no, they're just some kind of security thing. So I kind of want to mix these as ongoing. That was the longest answer to a question, but that's the reason I think I want to keep these mixed. Craig says, between the difference of the fleet that the Resistance has versus what the New Republic has supplied with them now. I gotcha. Yeah, I think even in the episode 7 and 8, I still want to mix in some New Republic style ships, just to be like, the Resistance has New Republic support, they just don't get a lot. Versus like now, it's the New Republic. You know, they were basically their core plans were wiped out. So this is it's we don't need to negotiate. The Senate doesn't need to debate. There is no Senate. Most senators died that day during the Hosnian Cataclysm. So war was pretty easy to declare after that. Prism says, will the Ascended Glacier action scene have a brand new score or a remix to a previous score? That would be, I would love to give this a new score. I do have a guy who actually graduated college with a film score degree. He does an excellent job. He, like me, you know, has a whole family and life happening, which is so rude, but I might be able to recruit him. I may not. If I can recruit him to do a score for this, that would be great. I would love to have something original for this that feels Star Wars. He did you can look on his YouTube. He recently turned his like Minecraft songs. He was like, "Oh, what if Minecraft was written by John Williams?" And I think personally, he really nailed it to where, yeah, if there's anybody who I trust more that I know personally that can give me a soundtrack to hit a Star Wars feel and hit that John Williams feel, I know he could. So it just depends on his schedule, his time, and if he wants to put anything towards this. So I'll pitch it, but I think if you see the original, or if it's a remix of previous scores, I also don't see that as being necessarily a problem here. Craig says, I think the Defender class cruiser would fit very well in with the Last Jedi fleet. I don't know that cruiser, but I wholeheartedly agree with you, and will definitely add that after I look at it, but probably will. I haven't thought about adding more to the Last Jedi fleet as like cruisers wise. I was thinking about maybe throwing in like these X-wings or more A-wings or something. But then we have, so let's get back to this though. So open shot we saw, then the fleet shows up, and then yeah, we just get, one of the main things here is I'm gonna spend a lot of time letting the fleet like build up and get prepared to battle. The reason is I really want to do what episode 9 didn't do, which is lull you into a Star Wars movie. I think a lot of the Star Wars films do this really, really well. Where like episode 3 gets you into that battle by doing a big one take. I guess I could go through all of them, but I don't want to do that. A lot of Star Wars movies start you off and lull you into the film, and kind of like even after the opening crawl, you sit there and then it's like, here we go. And it doesn't feel like anything abrupt, versus the original episode 9, I feel, was very abrupt in the sense that you just pan down from the stars onto Mustafar, and then a super close-up shot on Kylo Ren. So you go from as far away from Kylo Ren as one could be to up his nose. And that was, I feel, is a little jarring for what it could be. And I think what we should do is set up this battle and have a good amount of sequence where we just see people getting ready. And like these military shots right here, or like these classic kind of piloting stuff before Poe breaks the silence, because we will go into the cockpit here, and Poe is going to be like T-5 just to show that he's leading this battle. He's by flying the Falcon, that's him leading it. And then we would see Finn getting ready, and I really like this little moment. We'll see if it plays. I don't think so, but oh, it goes. Kind of. We might have to go a little frame by frame. Oh, there it goes. So yeah, one of the things I've tried to do here is I tried to have this moment where now that we're going to have some dialogue, we get this A-Wing and we get to follow it, catch up to the Falcon. And then the camera dips, like it follows, and then everything spins to the left here so that we can match the stars in this cut and almost do a match cut here, so that there's this like seamless transition of a motion transition. And then we get T-5, and then I stole this shot of Finn from way later in the film, or not way later, I guess in like just a few minutes, but we want to see him getting ready. And to emphasize that, we're going to go see the turret, because, you know, this is what Finn is operating. So seeing this motion of slam left, slam down, I think will play really, really well. And then the last two shots are the A-Wings like flying super fast, and then the X-Wings flying super fast. Now it's all about the TIE fighters, right? We got to show the bad guys getting alert. I did not spend nearly as much time on the bad guys, because Kylo Ren, we're about to get a whole scene where we get to learn about the bad guys. The main thing we want to know, or that we need to know as the audience, is that the Resistance, the New Republic has, you know, they've hit the hornet's nest a little bit. So we're going to see this shot where two troopers are running by, and then all of these TIEs just kind of lift up and then start flying. They're gonna go and attack the fleet. And then this is a moment I really want to pull off. I'd love to pull it off. Where I'm at right now, I really think I can. But it'll just be finding the budget for wardrobe. And then I guess for this scene, I could do... So here's ultimately the issue. So I am adding Kyle Katarn to this scene. So we saw that giant Starhawk earlier. The commander on the deck will be Kyle Katarn. I would love to add Kyle in episode 8 as well, as someone who helped Luke build his Jedi Academy. And in this version, ideally what would happen is Kylo Ren would attack Luke. He would leave his hut and then attack the Jedi Academy. But then he would just kind of like leave. Or maybe he doesn't even attack the Jedi Academy. I kind of like the idea of that random lightning bolt that's from the comics, if you've ever seen that, but kind of more practical, because the lightning bolt is very random. And if that's Palpatine, then it's like, why doesn't he who knows where that came from? But Kylo Ren would leave the hut to see that the First Order, or the Sith, has already attacked the Jedi Academy, and that Kyle Katarn, along with other Jedi survivors, are successfully fighting off the Sith acolytes. Kylo would see this and probably ditch, but we would get a moment where Luke would walk up and, you know, he would drop to his knees at the seeing his academy on fire, and then we would get Kyle talking of like, Skywalker, what do you want us to do? And this would be the moment where we would see Luke send Kyle Katarn and the rest of the students that are surviving, so a good amount of students, all into hiding. Okay, so not just Luke goes into hiding, but he sends his academy to go into hiding. Kyle will object to this, but because of his respect for Luke, I feel like we can have him, we can have this kind of response where Kyle would listen, especially if there were younger kids at the academy, and he would go off into hiding and wait for Luke's, like, hey, all clear, really. And then what would happen is, at the end of episode 8, when Luke does his final stand, we would see that his final stand was the, like, all right, Jedi, let's get back out there. So, in an ideal scenario, if I can get my actors, if I can get things working, I have the ideas, I have the ability to write the scripts and get those taken care of. I can do the VFX. Directing, acting, and wardrobe, these are the things I'm going to struggle with. If y'all know of resources that, and these are on the cheap, right? I can't necessarily put a ton of funds towards this, just like a lot of fan editors. I have put some funds towards these projects, hiring voice actors and whatnot. I'm not afraid to do that. I'm just anyone who has access to a green screen or wants to be a Jedi in these, what I want to do for episode 9 is show that the Ajan Kloss base is a Jedi base, and I know this, we got to tie it back to this eventually. So what's going to happen is Kyle is going to represent the in-between of the head of the Jedi Order at this point and the Resistance and the First Order. Because he's a veteran of the Old War, he would be a commanding officer. It's a clear arc from where he was to where he is, and it shows that the Jedi are involved in the war in this one. Not necessarily all soldiers. Luke doesn't want his new Jedi Academy to just do what the old Jedi did and all become Jedi generals. But Kyle was, a soldier, and Luke was a soldier, and he thinks, oh, Jedi can do this if they choose to, if they feel the desire for service, just like anyone in the military does, or like anyone who wants to help in this effort. But he's not gonna look at all the Jedi like the old Jedi Order and be like, all right, you're going in. 14-year-old girl who wants to be Anakin's Padawan, guess what day one's gonna be? A battlefield. That's crazy. So Kyle will show up and he will give the brief, and if not Kyle, then we still need someone here, because the main reason we need someone here is so that we can explain what this whole beginning battle is, because I don't have any dialogue between Poe or Finn talking to the squadron. So we need to say something like the battle needs to create an opening or some kind of distraction so that the Falcon team can go in and like get the information that they need, right? That they can find out that there is a spy within the like Jedi Order, or the Jedi in the First Order. So maybe it's something like, all right, let's give Falcon team that opening. Just something as quick as that. And then Kyle would tell Poe that, hey, you have your opening, take it. We would see Falcon like dive off, and then this is when we would pivot into the original, right? So they would go into the to the glacier, and we might even cut this shot because it kind of makes everything feel a little empty, or at least start it maybe here. But I also don't mind doing just this shot, And then we can get Finn running around this whole thing. And then we would get Kyle saying like, hey, you're gonna have company coming your way, and we would see the ties like breaking off and heading towards the glacier. Or yeah, we would get, let's see, battle, then the ties breaking off and start heading towards the glacier. We get this one, and then this would be the shot right here, this empty spot where Kyle's like, Poe, do you hear they're coming your way? And as we cut to that, we can hear Poe, we can see Poe looking down. So I kind of want to cut into this shot with Kyle's audio saying like, hey, they're coming your way, and then Poe looks up as if he's listening to that communication, so that this feels all nested in. These little moments are the things that I'm looking for to like make everything feel like, oh, this is always what it was supposed to be. It was always supposed to be like this. And then we would get the chase sequence as normal. And then they would escape, but instead of flying off into hyperspeed and doing light speed skipping, because one, there's really no need for it, and two, I know people have problems with it. I don't necessarily have problems with it. I have problems with at least one VFX shot where it's like upside down and there's water, and it's really confusing to my brain every time I see it. But I think if the Falcon escapes here and just banks left, then the Resistance and New Republic can blow up the remaining ties, and we can get something from Kyle or another pilot over the comms being like, we did it, Falcon team, now take that info base ASAP. We'll clean up and take this base from, we got it from here. So then that sequence would go into hyperspace, and then we would be able to play with the original opening of the film, where, you know, if we go into hyperspace, we just set up and pay off. We think, oh, maybe we'll exit hyperspace, but instead, the First Order is like exiting hyperspace. So then, as kind of described earlier, where Kylo Ren is getting his like briefing of how badly they're doing, and this scene, it would really, really work to get that briefing, and we would be able to slow back down, because we just saw the First Order lose. We just saw them lose, and we just felt the New Republic win. So then being able to see that, oh, they're not just winning in one spot, they're winning like all over, can really help make my case. Alright, I'm gonna get to some of y'all's. I've been monologuing for too long. Prism says the shot of the Falcon entering the frame and the shot of the guns firing after we see Finn seems janky. Is this previs? It's all previs. I turned it off, but it's all previs. Get the YouTuber Kyle Katarn to play him. I don't know that YouTuber. I will have to check him out, because yeah, if he's good. I actually, funny enough, I do have an actor for Kyle Katarn. If you're on the Discord, you can see his headshot. I think this actor will do tremendous work. He's done a lot of voice acting before, but he looks like Kyle Katarn. He's got a ton of time, and we both have access to a pretty good studio to make this happen, which I think would be pretty fun with large green screen. The things for Kyle are like getting props. Like, if we're gonna do Kyle and we're gonna do it right, we gotta get his lightsaber. Like, it would be like, I have this, which hopefully this isn't too loud. This might be really loud, but like, hopefully that didn't just destroy y'all's ears. But like, we could use something like this, but it's not Kyle's lightsaber. So, in my mind, it doesn't work. Because if you're going to bring back a legacy character, you have to treat him with... and I'm using legacy character as in he was in a video game and he's been around and has a legacy. If we're going to bring back that kind of a character with a legacy, we have to do him justice. Because we don't ever want to bring back a legacy character and not do justice. Looking at you, modern movies. All of you. Some of you have done well. But... okay. The lightning bolt could be Yoda trying to get Kylo's attention. I never really thought about that. You're saying the lightning bolt that randomly comes down in the comic book to destroy the Jedi Temple. I don't mind that being Yoda, except it's very much implied that I think the lightning bolt kills a bunch of Jedi, so that would be not great. If Yoda's like, hey, Kylo, get out of your head. Anyways, I'm gonna Anakin these children. Can I use him as a verb? Can't the opening credits explain things too if worst case is necessary? Oh yeah. In fact, I believe that the opening credits for this film should feel redundant, and kind of, not really. I don't want to make things that are redundant, but in the sense that originally I was only going to do these kind of things in the opening credits, like, hey, we're winning the war, but it doesn't have that feel, along with, I want to show these movies to my kids, and whenever I watched Star Wars as a kid, I didn't read the opening credits, and I really hope that my kids, my son becomes a very literate, more literate than me, and was like, oh yeah, I love reading the yellow text at the beginning. That's actually my favorite part, Dad. But I don't want to rely too much on the yellow text. I don't want it to become a crutch for what I can show and not tell, even though I'm telling. At least the Battle of Cinta Glacier is a victory that is showing, not telling, versus the major battle, like Kylo Ren getting the report. That's probably more telling, but the reason we're doing it that way is to really set up Kylo Ren's desperation more than I'm trying to set up that the Resistance is winning. I've kind of already set that up. That's far more of like Kylo has a desperate need to get to the Sith homeworld. Okay, Soda says, I can't remember if you were keeping Hux as the spy or just making him get injured during Chewie's rescue. So, as far as Hux goes in this film, I think he can be the spy, mainly because that's the only thing he can do. He can either be the spy or do nothing. As of right now, I haven't put a ton of thought to it, but I really can't imagine him doing too much other than that. And I think Hux bothered a lot of people, but he didn't necessarily bother me. Of where he's like, I don't want to see you win. I want Kylo Ren to lose. Is like, okay, yeah, they've always bickered with each other. Of course, he's gonna undermine Kylo Ren to try and get that seat of power. I could see that happening. I do have a different death though for Hux. He will not be killed off by Pride haphazardly and forgotten about. Hux will die at the hands of stormtroopers in this, kind of. He will, there's a whole new sequence at the end that I plan on doing. Whenever I've just began scripting that. It's an idea I've had for a while. I'll just say what it is, but don't expect anything soon or soonish, which is I really want to add a stormtrooper rebellion. I've been trying to learn how to do this motion capture stuff so that I can really give that scene a lot of life and service in the realm of CGI, and trying to get that to a place where I can pre-visit correctly and we can make sure it fits in the story correctly. But yeah, I want to add that kind of thing, and y'all will get updates on that later, or as it's being worked on. So how old is Kyle Katarn in this edit? In the EU, he is 4 years older than Luke. So in this edit, I think we would try and keep the same kind of look for Kyle. He would be older, but he will have aged. He will be about the same age, if not a little younger than Luke, but it should look and feel the same. The main thing is that he has aged a little more gracefully than Luke has. And it might be better if he feels younger, in the sense that he listens to Luke and is always and is following Luke as the Grand Master rank. But yeah, I definitely, I don't want to break the EU, but I also know that there's already so many broken things already just by putting Kyle in the sequel. So if things don't 1-to-1 line up, that won't break my heart. But his lightsaber has to be perfect. There is that, unfortunately. And his blaster and his wardrobe needs to at least look Kyle Katarn. If it's not like 1-to-1 identical, like in the previs, it's a model of like his younger self. That's not how I see Kyle in this. In this version, he would definitely have graying hair. You know, I don't think he would be full gray, but he may not have like the whatever those brown patches under his armpit are, but he definitely would. I would have to give him some kind of tan, or yeah, like off-white shirt with a leather strap. Like that's the Kyle look that I think has to be in this edit, or if not, we're just going with New Republic unnamed officer. There you go. But if we're gonna do Kyle, then I want to at least try and do him a little bit correct. Yeah. So to keep in line with EU, he could be 4 years older than Luke and just have aged a little better, because where my actor is at literally isn't as old as Mark Hamill when he was filming this in 2018. No, 2017. Yeah, something like that. But I think it'll be close enough to where we won't really think about it too much. I think it'll work. Let's see. The next one is Prism says we need a shot of Kylo just staring. The Last Jedi deleted scene to slow tension before the ties enter Mustafar. Oh, what a great idea you have. I think that's a fantastic idea. Something, you mean this one? This one that's titled deleted scene, but it's got Mustafar in the background and it's already rotoed. Yeah, I agree. Originally I was going to have Kylo in his chair, or like in a chair here with his helmet on, and that did not look very Kylo Ren. It was very silly to have him like sitting and meditating. I thought it was good. In my head it was a cool look, and then I was like, why is he sitting? It looks like he's in trouble and sitting on the bench for the principal's office. But at least with this look where he's standing and holding his hands behind his back, we have seen that look in a deleted scene in episode 8. I can't just roto or use that version of Kylo, unfortunately, because this shot is a very long oneer. I say that like it's impressive. No, it's just a push in. Because it's supposed to build tension and unease. But because I need very specific lighting, but I decided to remove his helmet because I was like, we can use this deleted scene shot for his kind of like facial expression. But I think I can pull off the dark this is a dark environment, and I think even this previs CGI hair looks pretty okay. I think there is some glitching. If you zoom in really, really close, you can see all of these strands turn into rectangles, which is not great. But yeah, like I guess that one becomes a rectangle. We don't want that. But like just the overall shape of it, I think will work. And then yeah, having all of these little bits of his wardrobe have these like marks and whatnot. We want to keep that the way it is. And then yes, we need to keep his rage will still be there from episode 7, where he like whenever he gets something he's like starts attacking things, but now it's a little more controlled, where in this one he gets a lot of bad news and just destroys the hologram with the force. And then yeah, we would go to this shot where he's clearly upset but determined. And then from here we would go to the planet. Sweet. I think I covered just about everything with Kyle here. I do think we can't just show Kyle at the beginning, by the way. I think he has to be at the Battle of Exegol. I think he has to be there. Being able to pull that off well and successfully will be the tricky part. So whenever I say like I want to pull these things off, some things will take a lot longer. I also have like the Revenge of the Sith edit that I'm working on, where I'm doing a lot of clone cameo stuff. So really appreciate everyone's patience with me and stuff like that. I really appreciate you guys, and I want to do a really, really good job with these. So I do want to add Kyle to the end scene along with more Jedi. I think, man, how cool would it be? Where is this? Not that. This is a whole other debate. Honestly, if you want to give your 2 cents if we should keep the Reylo kiss at the end, leave it in the comments below. I am perplexed on what to do here. No idea. Couldn't tell you. I know that I need help with this, if this works or not. That's awkward. Where is it? Oh, and if you're wondering about the color grade here, I will be making a video about this very, very soon, explaining everything. I'm not going to do it here, just because I don't want to waste y'all's time. But I guess I'm clicking around pretty aimlessly. Oh, I guess this will work. I definitely want to add Jedi to this scene, because this battle just doesn't last long enough. Oh no, don't click that. Don't look at that. You are not supposed to see Anakin talks to Ben. Y'all don't not supposed to see that yet. But yeah, when the red stormtroopers show up and we're battling them here, I definitely want some Jedi on this ship fighting stormtroopers, showing that the Jedi are involved and are attacking. Like they join in. They follow Luke's lead. I have a handful of actors. I say actors. Really, I have a bunch of production assistants that I work with that are college age esque, and I'm like, here's some Jedi robes, here's a lightsaber, let's go, let's fight, and they can play the background Jedi, just kind of like how you see other people do it. Let's see. All right. I haven't chatted with you guys in a while. Let's see. Oh, so Kyle Katarn, he's a reactor on YouTube who has a costume of Kyle Katarn. That is very interesting because if he's got the wardrobe already, if he has the wardrobe and if he has the look, I will reach out. Because I think getting the green screen, or like even if he's just like on a white plain background and I have to do just intense amount of roto work. Excuse me. AI is hold on. AI has been like huge for helping rotoscoping. So if I need to do rotoscoping and like if he doesn't even have a green screen, that might be one of the best solutions. Let's see. The thing with the kiss is that they're related. I've heard this, but I don't think they are, because it's one comic strip where we see Palpatine maybe made Anakin with the Force, which would connect them biologically, but I don't think so, and I don't like that. I don't like the idea that they're related at all, because I don't like the idea that Anakin is a Palpatine. Rey being a Palpatine is fine, but Anakin being a Palpatine is weird. Crag says, I say keep it because it parallels Anakin and Padme and Ben finishing what Anakin started. AKA, actually using Force Heal and saving someone from death. That's pretty powerful. The fact that it turns into a romance is... I think you could still keep what Anakin started without the kiss, but I think Episode 8 made the kiss work. But I also feel like they would have to, like, if they did, let's just say they did commit to a relationship, they would have to work up to that moment, right? Maybe I'm crazy. I feel like Rey was like, hey, just like yesterday, you were trying to cut my head off. So maybe we have some things to work through before we can put the R word of relationship between us. Even though they clearly do. It's just, if they're... to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. Which, in my edit, there is hope, actually. Because I'm committed to making sure that Ben Solo survives this film. Even if he's killed off in the canon and they make projects where he's a Force ghost from here on out. Well, one, I really don't think Adam Driver would come back to the role. At least sitting here in 2025. But I think that Kylo... the idea of Ben Solo in the future still being alive and having to like repent for his sins and having to like make up for all the evil deeds, that would be way more interesting. So even if they never make a story about it, I want to plant the seed of what could have been, having Ben Solo survive, and I think it's a much better ending. Prism says, out of curiosity, because Palpatine's face is so wrinkly and such, if we wanted to add new shots of Palpatine force pushing and stuff, would with VFX or his resurrection. Could we do that? I have thought about showing his resurrection. I think that would be really, really important. There are some things with Palpatine I'm planning on doing that require just getting a 3D model anyways. So I don't know about adding force pushing around. I think because you would need more than Palpatine. You would need him force pushing and then whoever he's pushing or the action. So it'd be difficult, especially because I don't necessarily know what scene you're talking about or what moment you're specifically talking about. But I do think if we could add a resurrection scene, the problem is where and how does it work? Like, does he monologue to Kylo Ren of like, I used my essence to transfer into a clone body, then I had the scientists work on me, and then it didn't work very well, so I had to connect this thing. I think having a line more like, or recognizing that he is a clone will go a super long way to making sure, like, I think that's what we need right there. And then we need to explain how he built this fleet, as, you know, maybe he's been working on it for years, you know, and how we can see that the Sith army came from a clone protocol very similar to Jango Fett, and that we have Sith, like Sith Camino loyalists or something. I don't know. I would, sorry if I butcher your name, Akbajel, would love to see Palpatine use red lightning. Star Wars lore behind that would fit really well. It actually would fit really well because we've only seen like the super dark side people use red lightning. And if anything, it should be purple, because the way I understand it is blue is for people who are just learning it, and then it becomes more red as you get into the dark side. We're like what we see the Sun use in the Clone Wars, and then Palpatine's in Return of the Jedi. Whether this was just like they didn't color it properly or whatever, it definitely comes off way more purple, kind of showing that he's already getting closer to that level of power. So red would be full circle. I just haven't fully committed to it, but I think I would like red because Rey's lightsabers are blue, and instead of having blue on blue, having red on blue is a far better contrast. Albert says, I say no kiss, LOL. I don't understand it, to be honest. Their relationship is far closer to Jyn and Cassian to me than Anakin and Padme. If that makes any sense. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I think if anything, I would, I could have, because it's such a controversial edit in the sense that people would want it and people would not want it, it might be one where it's like, get the kiss cut or something. Yeah, that would be, I don't know. I feel like my legs hurt from sitting on this fence for so long. But keep your arguments coming, because I really know someone's going to have the right string of characters, make the right sentence that's going to go, oh, I get it now. I can pick a side. Let's say Prisms, Craig says, I'd say for his resurrection, we should see it in The Force Awakens, but it's shrouded in darkness, so it's unclear. That's a great idea. Okay, I've actually had this idea for a hot minute. With Rey's vision in Episode 7, that needs to set up Palpatine, right? Her vision of her first steps should have her last steps in them. You know, it should, very obscure, it doesn't explain anything to the audience, but I've had this idea of doing a like flying shot towards the Exegol like Sith temple, and we see like Palpatine's like blue essence like flying towards the temple. All right, I'm gonna finish out some of these, and then that'll be it for at least this video. Chosen One, so glad to see you here, man. It'd be sick if we saw a quick glimpse of Palpatine resurrecting, the electric arm holding him up, dropping with steam, and as he falls to the ground, his legs grow back under his cloak like a monster. That's creepy. I love it. I think I would want to show, if we did any kind of resurrection scene, it needs to be like a Frankenstein's monster. I love this idea that we would see Palpatine, like, or like a Palpatine, like clone body laying there, and then having like weird what's the word, like Tesla coils or something, being shocked with electricity, and then seeing the movement of the body. Just something very reminiscent of Frankenstein would be really, really fun. I think that would be one of my biggest inspirations. Frankenstein's monster would be one of the biggest inspirations for this. Oh, Crag says in Ray's vision, I mean. Yeah, that's exact. Right here, brother. We're in it. Now I think I open up Palpatine's resurrection. I think it doesn't work in 7. Or in episode 9. I think it has to go in 7, and we only get quick glimpses to it. So I think I might open up a discussion on the Discord for that. We can I would love to hear y'all's ideas, pitch stuff. But yeah, that's it for tonight's stream. I really appreciate everyone who tuned in, or if you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much. Your support means a lot to me. I hope that with all the things that were said here, and all the promises, not promises, ideas and goals, I should say, not promises, but goals that I've expressed, that we can make those a reality. That in time we can have this come to life in a way that's satisfying, and because I think these movies are worth saving. But yeah, I think that's for another time. All right, I got my finger over the pulse of this stream.